on the Hawkeye Sports Network from Learfield. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Since his hiring in May of last year, Iowa's Joe Parker has worn out several pairs of shoes, traveling the country, getting to know present donors and potential givers to Hawkeye Athletics. Parker joined Athletic Director Beth Goetz's team of administrators as Deputy AD for Strategic Initiatives and Chief Operating Officer. Parker will focus a lot of his efforts on NIL, name, image, and likeness, a primary fundraising mechanism for paying student athletes. Parker is well qualified, himself a three-time All-American swimmer at Michigan. Joe Parker won gold and bronze medals at the 1987 World University Games. Most recently, the athletic director at Colorado State for 9 years. Parker has worked in blue blood athletic departments, including Texas, Oklahoma, and his alma mater, where Parker's management team cultivated $400 million for new facilities, upgrades, and remodels for Michigan's 27 sports, including a complete makeover of the Big House, Michigan Stadium, and basketball's Chrysler Center. On a recent basketball road trip and in between appointments, Joe Parker sat down with Bobby Hansen and me and discussed what's coming down the road with the House versus NCAA settlements expected signing in April, NIL, roster sizes, TV revenue, and more as the college athletics landscape changes drastically. Where are you from originally? What's your background?
Battle Creek, Michigan's my hometown.
Oh, so you grew up in the Big Ten footprint.
I did. I was Midwesterner in the Big Ten footprint, as you said, and went to school just down the road.
That school up north, right?
Not north. It was.
Well, Ohio State calls you that.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, now, so was Battle Creek, is your allegiance Michigan, Michigan State? Is it Western Michigan, Central Michigan?
My allegiance is the Hawkeyes.
Well, I know
there you go.
But the winged helmets kind of mesmerizes kids when they're growing up, no matter where you're from.
Yeah. I spent 4 years on that campus.
Yeah, you were an athlete. You're a student athlete, right?
Yeah, I was a student athlete at Michigan, so I swam, jumped in the water a few times. Yeah.
What was your event?
I was a sprint freestyler, so 50, 100, 200 freestyle, and then the freestyle relays.
Fast.
Tried to be. That was the goal. Yeah, that was the goal.
Coach Munt's doing a great job with the Hawkeye swim program.
Yeah, Nate's doing a great job. Yeah.
Of course, that facility would rank
unbelievable. I mean, I'd heard about it because the pool I remember was the Fieldhouse pool.
The old Olympic.
Yeah. It's still there.
We swam duels there, and I know I've seen it.
It's still leaking water there, I think.
But the new natatorium is world class, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's and right downtown makes it really exciting. I mean, you've got bars and restaurants right there, and quite a workout facility for the campus for the students.
Yeah, it's a great resource for the campus.
Beth Goetz, she's special, isn't she?
She is. Yeah, Beth is awesome, great leader, high national profile, is doing a wonderful job for the Hawkeyes, and proud to be a part of her team.
Joe Parker from the Iowa Athletic Department, Deputy Director of Athletics for Strategic Initiatives. Somewhere between all those vowels is NIL and transfer portal and balancing that, managing and budgeting for it, I assume.
Yes, when Beth was decided to post the position, she gave a lot of thought to kind of how she wanted to structure it, and the piece Strategic Initiatives is to try and she wants someone to keep their eye on the horizon, to think and understand what was coming down the road for college sports and plan for how we were going to build a model here at Iowa as we work towards the settlement and consider revenue share and maybe ongoing impacts of NIL and certainly transfer portal, but always making those adjustments and being prepared for what's ahead.
Hello, Iowa. Here's a promise. Wherever you are in this great state, University of Iowa Healthcare is here for you, even if you never walk through our doors. Educating, caring, leading research, sharing our expertise with all. Because we believe that UI Healthcare is here to make all of Iowa better. UI Healthcare, changing medicine, changing lives. Visit uihealthcare.org.
You might think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Corn can even fuel your drive to watch the Hawkeyes play when you choose Unleaded 88. It's a fuel that's cheaper, cleaner, and greener. Plus, it's homegrown, making Unleaded 88 the clear choice at the pump and totally worth the hype. So as you head to cheer on the Hawkeyes this season, don't just fuel up. Pump it up with Unleaded 88. Find Unleaded 88 at a station near you. Go to iowacorn.org/88.
The silly moments, the proud moments, even the hard moments. They're what make life remarkable. And they're why Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield is here for every moment. Committed to making healthcare better, more affordable, with more choices for care. And service and coverage that give you peace of mind no matter what comes your way. So you can show up for every tender moment, every brave moment, and every wouldn't miss it for the world moment, knowing that Blue is here for you. Go to wellmark.com/every moment to find a plan right for you.
Something big is happening at Hy-Vee. We've just lowered thousands and thousands of prices on thousands and thousands of items in every aisle and in every department. Online, too. And on many of your favorite products, we've even matched prices with some of the biggest discount stores in the country. Because we get it, times are still tough. So we'll continue to work hard to bring you new lower prices on thousands of items. Things are looking different at Hy-Vee. Come see for yourself.
You know, the Cliff Notes, because I know things haven't totally been decided yet, but can you explain to our listeners again a little bit of what is coming down the line here?
Sure. You know, we when I speak of settlement, there was 3 antitrust lawsuits that were adjoined. We're expecting a final decision in April, and if the final decision comes, as it's been agreed upon, there will be an opportunity for us to share revenue directly with our student athletes. There's a part of the settlement that will address the damage class. It's reaching back 5 years from summer of 2021 when NIL was permissible. So part of it is to grant financial settlement with those student athletes that didn't have the advantage of NIL, and they can only reach back 5 years. So that's part of the settlement. But then looking forward is what we're obligated to, and that is to try and create up to, in the first year, $20.5 million to share out to our roster members. So that's a big part of what we're trying to accomplish right now. You know, I've told the staff and people you know, associated with the department, the great news is we generate $150 million a year. The challenging news is that we spend $150 million a year. And so in the effort to try and carve out $20 million to share with our student athletes, we got to think through, you know, the way we spent our money to try and reallocate some dollars. Part of the settlement does include roster caps, so we will be limiting the number of students on each of our rosters, and that's not a great thing. You know, we want to provide opportunity, and in this case, we're going to reduce opportunities for students to participate. But by doing that, there's some cost savings because we'll serve about 100 less student athletes. And then we've got to kind of, as I said, you know, think through some reallocations. But then a big piece of it is we got to figure out a way to generate more revenue too. Part of that is, you know, great news. We're a member of the Big Ten, and we are a power conference. And our TV deals attract a lot of viewers, and that means revenue to the department, to every member of the Big Ten. So that'll be a piece of it as we move forward. The CFP was restructured with the way that they distribute revenue, so that's a bigger share coming to the Big Ten and the SEC, which will be helpful to us. But then we're going to have to call upon our Hawkeye fans to do more and you know, help us and make it possible for us to be prepared for what's ahead.
Every Big Ten victory in the playoffs meant more millions of dollars for not only the schools but for the conference, correct? Revenue sharing? Yeah,
I don't know the exact value of the share, but every team in and every win by those teams means more money to the participating conferences, the conferences that are represented. So that was good news. I mean, that was great for us to get our teams in and see as many teams win. So.
But when you talk that type of budget that you're talking about, I mean, it's a couple $1 million, isn't it, to each institution plus the Big Ten gets a share of it? Yeah. So it's helpful. I mean, when we within the next 2 or 3 years, the distribution for the Big Ten will be about $75 million to us. So that's is that new money then?
Some of that is new money.
Some of it is, okay.
Yep.
I was reading the other day.
I wish it were all new money. It'd be really easy to kind of
be on our way. Then
that's what I thought. I was like, that's new money.
But if the deal is
incremental,
if the deal is agreed to and signed in April, this will start July 1st, I believe.
Correct.
They're right in there. And I was reading where that $21 million or $20.5 million will go to $30 million by 2030, and it has a lot to do with the television revenue. But while that sounds like a lot of money coming in, there's a lot of money going out, so your job is to allocate it appropriately.
Absolutely, yeah. And, Beth has done a really nice job in kind of, surveying the landscape, understanding where we need to make those investments in our rosters, and we're prepared to adjust as needed. But the settlement represents a 10-year term. So, and as you referenced, there's escalators over the life of the term, about 4% a year, but then there's also look-ins, as they say, which will give the plaintiffs an opportunity to reevaluate the revenues that's generated by the Power 4 schools and then adjust that rev share number.
What are your major concerns down the road out on that landscape? Obviously, there'll be some boundaries, some barriers put in place, so this thing just doesn't get out of hand. But what right now in 2025, what are your major concerns about this plan, this setup?
Yeah, I think for those of us that have been long-term practitioners involved in college sports, whether you were a participant, like many of us who are administrators as student athletes when we were students, or as we are administrators leading, we want to maintain the traditional experience as much as we possibly can, because there's so much value in the development that occurs for young people over those 3, 4, 5 years.
The experience of 4 years on a college campus.
I mean, in my opinion, there's very little that a young person can be involved with that gets them more prepared for what's ahead in life. When I stepped off the campus that I was a part of as an undergrad, I felt fully formed as a human being, ready to accept any challenge that was put in front of me, and I think that's what we do. We put young people in a position to assume leadership and understand how to manage their lives moving forward. And a big part of that is, avoiding, I'd like to see us always maintain the student-athlete relationship and not trigger employee status.
I agree, and that's my question. When does this cross the line of being an employee?
I think we're getting close. Yeah, I think we're getting close. You're never certain exactly what will be the tipping point, but I think we could get some favorable legislation out of Congress.
Where can fans help out? You mentioned we need the Hawkeye fans. There's some confusion out there that the swarm will go away July 1st. Is that accurate?
I think there's still some uncertainty. Part of the settlement is to try and put some controls over what collectives have been doing. And, Brad and the group of board members that have propped that enterprise up and kept it operating and helping our student athletes, we give a ton of credit to what they have done. But beyond July 1st, we're not exactly sure what it will look like. I think Brad and that team stand ready to assist in any way they need to. But eventually we're hoping that revenue share will kind of take over the role that a collective had done in the past.
So just write your check out to the athletic department, and whether it has Swarm on it or Joe Parker or the University of Iowa.
We've got to keep people engaged. People have to continue to feel energized about the Hawkeyes and buy tickets and show up and cheer the teams on and support the I Club and the Swarm for the near term, and then eventually we're going to ask people just to hopefully transfer a lot of that support directly into the department.
And the foundation does a great job.
They do.
People in the foundation. So.
They do. Yeah, Kevin Collins and the A team, they do a fantastic job.
With national champ Ohio State and Penn State reaching the inaugural football playoff Final Four, every Big Ten institution is guaranteed another $2.6 million. The Power Four conferences plan to discuss expansion of the playoff field from 12 to 16 teams this spring, with the Big Ten and SEC getting as many as 4 automatic bids if that expansion plan is put into practice. That's this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. I'm Gary Dolphin. Go Hawks.
You've been listening to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Hawkeye fans, remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Once you become a Fight for Iowa podcast subscriber, you'll automatically receive the latest episodes of the Fight for Iowa podcast, the Hawkeyes Voice podcast, Hawk Talk replays, exclusive game day content, and more. Until next time, on Iowa, and go Hawks! The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.